the coaching staff and the teammates are starting to get tired of Jameis Winston and all of his antics. Jeff Garcia, the last quarterback to bring them to the playoffs, does not even care about the draft pick that the Bucs are going to be announcing. Who cares about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and why have we stopped caring? Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tyler, who kind of knows things about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because today we're going to talk about the problem with the good old Bucs. I have lived in the Tampa Bay area for all of my life. Tampa Bay Buccaneer football is the only football that I can see without having to go all the way to Miami or all the way up to Jacksonville. And what I have seen is a consistent problem with the franchise as a whole. And there are ways to fix it, but they've had all these years to do it. And they just haven't. In my opinion, there are 5 things that are consistently wrong and do not work in the Bucs' favor. And that is their division, coaching, culture, weather, and Winston. So let's take a deeper dive into what I mean about the division as a whole. The NFC South is easily the most complete division in the league. You have the Falcons, who have been to the Super Bowl just 2 years ago, the Saints, who have Drew Brees, and now that much improved running attack with Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, and a defense that is only going to get better. And then you have the Panthers and Cam Newton, who are guaranteed at least 9 wins every season, and that kind of dark horse playoff attack that they get, they're going to be in the playoffs next year. I know that much. So that leaves the Bucs as the odd man out. The 4th place, as they have been in last place in that division since 2010. The Bucs play a total of 6 games inside the NFC South, and to be quite honest, I don't see them winning a single game, especially since week 1, and we're going to get to this. Winston won't even be playing. That right there is 6 losses for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Going back to that previous thought, Jameis Winston has been suspended for the first 3 games of the season, and it's a very controversial thing. I'm not going to give you my opinion on it because everyone has one. You could just search up Jameis Winston and you'll get thousands of just results of people's opinions, so I'm not going to give you that. But to look at their schedule of the first 3 games that they play, it's the Saints, Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, and the Steelers. And the quarterback that we have to go under center and play against those 3 teams is the man himself, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, Ryan Fitzpatrick is easily the best backup in the NFL, not named Nick Foles. And he gives us a chance to win. He played very well, and he got us 2 wins last season. So clearly, he has the ability to lead this team. But this is a team sport, and the defense has consistently let us down. However, it may be a team sport, but good old Fitzmagic has a 48-70 record as a career starter. And we know all of the teams that he has started a game for. That is not the best numbers for someone that's going to be going up against 3 teams that the Bucs lost 11 games last season. Between the Saints, Eagles, and the Steelers, none of them won less than 11 games. So the amount of losses that we had, these 3 teams won more games than that last season. They are all teams that went deep into the playoffs, at least the divisional round. Playoffs weren't even a factor halfway through the season for us. Fitzerland will throw for 2 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in those first 3 games. as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall to 0-3 to start the season. I want to touch quickly on the coaching of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dirk Koetter was 9-7 in his rookie season as a head coach. He worked with Jameis Winston in the 6-10 campaign with Lovie Smith. He helped Winston become a Pro Bowl quarterback in his first season in the NFL. He has worked remarkably with the Buccaneer franchise, with the Glazer family. He is a good head coach, but he's lost the team already. To go from 9-7 and the playoffs are imminent, almost as much as teams passing on Colin Kaepernick. The playoffs were so imminent that the moment the Bucs went 5-11, anyone that's a Bucs fan immediately realized this is probably what we're going to get. And now they're calling for the release of Dirk Koetter. They don't want him anymore because he's getting all the blame for it. But Winston and this defense is the problem. We let up 6 yards a play on defense. The league average was a little under 5.5. So not only were we last in that category every single play, allowing at least 6 yards, we were last by a country mile. And who's going to answer for that? It's not going to be Mike Smith, because he was with the Falcons. So clearly, in whatever way that the Bucs franchise thinks about it, because he was coaching one team, that makes him so much better, and that our defense is just going to figure it out. The Bucs disappointing us by going 5-11 right after a 9-7 campaign is not that surprising from a franchise that started 0-26. It's not even that surprising as the city of Tampa in general. The Rays, the baseball team that we have always underperformed for the majority of their existence in the league. Yeah, and we have the Lightning, who can make it this close to getting to the Stanley Cup, and then they end up getting blown out 7-0 in the final 2 games of the Capitals. I'm just saying, the whole city was behind the Lightning, and then they did that. It's a typical Tampa sports team thing. Oh, and by the way, John Gruden is our most winningest coach that we have ever had in the history of our team, and he is 57-55. Now, if you are a Bucs fan and you're still at this point because you are interested by this video, you heard me talk about the weather, and I have to assume some people are asking, well, what does that mean? Weather affects any game and any team that comes into Raymond James, or any team that has, you have Lambeau Field, who it snows, and it can snow a lot. The players shouldn't be affected by the weather. They should be able to practice in it. But Florida gets very hot. South Florida gets just blazing heat. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have an open stadium. Raymond James Stadium does not have a ceiling. It gets the heat of 2 o'clock sun. And all but one of our games this season, Week 3 against the Steelers on prime time, are played at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, where the sun is going to be barreling down on the players. And it's going to cook them from the inside out, and the Bucs have to consistently practice in this weather. And it has to do something physically to the players, because if you look at it from a history standpoint of this franchise, just of the last 10 years, you're going to see Tampa Bay Buccaneers do not have a home field advantage. We're going to look at the last 5 years in the National Football League and look at the record that the Bucs have had at home. In 2017, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won 4 games at home. In 2016, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won 4 games at home. So The last 2 years, they've split it. Not too bad. In 2015, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won 3 games at home. And in 2014, the Buccaneers won a grand total of 0 games at home. And then once you go back all the way to 2013, Tampa Bay Buccaneers won 3 games at home. So in a grand total of 40 opportunities to win at home, the Buccaneers have a 14-26 record at home in the last 5 years. And as a fan, being outside in the sun, cooking to death, almost guaranteed that your team is going to lose, there's a reason why the fans and the following in the Tampa Bay area have gone down so significantly. But it's not just the last 5 years. We're going to go back to the last 10 years. To give this, we're going to go all the way back to 2007. That's where we're going to start to kind of give you an idea of the inconsistent play that has also followed the Bucs seasons. Back in 2007, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won 6 games at home, with a grand total of a 9-7 record with Jeff Garcia as our quarterback. That was also the last time that the Buccaneers have been to the playoffs, losing in the wild card round 24-14 to the New York Giants. As we then go to 2008, the Bucs go 9-7, so some consistent play here. Don't make the playoffs. They win 6 games at home, and Jeff Garcia is our quarterback. It seems like we're having some consistent play. So you're thinking, okay, 2009, 10 wins at the least, and playoffs, right? No. 2009, Buccaneers win 1 game at home, go 3-13. 2010, this is where things get interesting. 2010, the Bucs win 4 games and go 10-6. Out of nowhere, Raheem Morris gets Josh Freeman and they play well. But 10-6 is not enough to get them to the playoffs. So you're thinking, okay, 10-6, 4 wins at home. This team is on the rise after a disappointing 3-13 year. So I can only assume 2011 is going to look amazing, but it does not. 2011, the Bucs win 3 games at home and go 4-12 right after a 10-6 season. You go to 2012, it is 3 wins at home and a 7-9 record. So they're building from that 4-12 season, but it's not looking too much better. And then you go to 2013, Bucs 3 wins at home, 4-12 record. Inconsistent play across 80 chances to win at home over the last 10 seasons. The Bucs have a 40-40 record in the National Football League at home. Now, when I first saw those numbers, I thought, okay, they're at 500. It gives you a 50-50 chance to win at home. But as a fan, you hope that's greater. Just one more win above 500. It gives you more than just a 50-50 shot to see your team that you are trying to support win. But they're just so inconsistent, and they just do not give you the results that make you want to give your hard-earned money to watch them lose. It is a losing culture that has been created in the Tampa Bay area. And that is why the Buccaneers do not have a home field advantage. Jameis Winston is an interesting character. He eats a W between games, and they don't really win a ton. He was drafted number 1 overall by a state that is where his college was, FSU, and the Tampa Bay area. It's only about a 4-hour difference at the most. The fans knew of Winston. They were able to go to the games and watch him. Mariota was never an option. That's just the truth. Anyone that was a fan of the Bucs back in 2013 when Winston was drafted number 1 overall, they knew he was going to be the guy. And everyone wanted him to be. But off the field issues, on the field issues, Winston threw 18 interceptions in his sophomore season in college. When you have those things happen, a quarterback usually goes down on the draft board and he's picked around the 4th or 5th round, not number 1 overall. But if he was not picked, the backlash would have just been so severe. Everyone was just hoping that was just an off season. Maybe he had an injury. But what we've seen from him is bad decision making. Winston has the ability to be the best quarterback the Buccaneers have ever had. That's not saying much, but he is a good quarterback. If he can fix his inconsistent play, if he can work with what the defense gives him, which hasn't been a whole lot. But just 2 years ago, when we went 9-7, everyone was talking about our defense. We had a 4-game span where we were playing as the top 3 in numbers and stats because we were doing so well, because the offense was moving the football, the defense was able to be off the field, and we're just not seeing that. But Ronald Jones, he gives us light at the end of the tunnel. The 2nd round pick at running back, he could be something fantastic for us to give Winston a chance to learn. But we have to be able to survive those first 3 games. The players have to believe in themselves. Dirk Cotter, he has to be able to hold this team together. I strongly believe the Bucs have 2 options here. Either they surprise everyone and they win 7 games, or we win 1 game and we pick number 1 overall. As a fan, I hope the Bucs do well. I want to support them. I know this area wants to support them. We want to give them our money to go to the games, to enjoy them. But right now, and for the longest time, we haven't been able to. Thank you so much for watching, and it's always interesting looking at a franchise, looking so far back, and understanding more what has plagued us as a franchise. And these are problems that can be fixed, and they can be fixed pretty easily. I do believe this franchise is on up, but it could be 2 or 3 more years before we see the results. I don't know who will be at the quarterback position. I don't know who will be our head coach, but this is a team that has talent. And as a community, we just have to wait. And we've been waiting since 2002, and they won the Super Bowl, but since then 1 or 2 playoff appearances and no playoff wins. So just gotta wait. Y'all have a great day. And that is their division, their coaching. I just combined the 2.